Please note that the content of this episode has explicit language and is not suitable for underage listeners. Welcome to Secrets from a Phone Sex Queen, everything you always wanted to know about phone sex and more. I'm CJ. I want to start today with something that comes up quite a bit in conversation with friends, and that is it cheating when someone calls to have phone sex? This seems to be a loaded question. Everyone has an opinion, thoughts, and feelings about what is cheating, and I do as well. I have heard that some people find masturbation cheating or watching porn is cheating. I personally do not feel that watching porn is cheating or that masturbation is cheating. I think that men have been doing that since they were very little. It has nothing to do with being fulfilled or not from a woman, and that is my opinion. When it comes to calling a phone line, that is debatable. People call for all sorts of reasons, like I've said over and over. And if they're calling because they're lonely in a marriage or not having enough sex, then it could be construed as emotional cheating. I don't think it starts out that way, but when I have a caller who keeps calling and is married and forms an emotional attachment, I do think that there are women out there who would consider it cheating. It really is a conversation that is up for debate, and I'm not the right person to judge if it is or isn't cheating. I know people who have strong feelings about this. Knowing what I know, meaning how I am with the callers, I don't consider it cheating because I'm not asking anyone to leave their partner to date me or to be exclusive with me, so I don't consider it cheating. But I know that there have been phone actresses who have promised men that they would meet them and possibly more, and I think that crosses a line, so not everyone is the same. It's a tricky conversation, and I don't think there is a right or wrong answer. It really is up to the individual. But when I'm on a call with a married man, I know that the people I talk to mostly are unhappy, and I feel that if you are that unhappy, then something needs to change, whether it's going to therapy or ending a relationship. And I don't say anything unless I'm asked, and I'm very careful as to what I do say. I never ever promise anyone anything about meeting or taking this offline and being more personal. But I would like to know how you all feel. So email me at phonesexqueen1@gmail and let me know your thoughts on the subject. I will relay that to you to let you know how people feel about the subject. Cheating is very tricky, and I know that if there's no emotion involved, then it's not cheating. But when there becomes emotion, then it's a little trickier there. So, as you can imagine, I hear a lot of things, and I've heard a lot of things over the years. I would say most good versus bad. There is naughty, but then there's also bad. And what I mean by bad, I keep saying bad, that there are things that I have to decipher whether or not it's real or just in someone's imagination. And if it's in someone's imagination, I have to then decide whether I want to talk to them or not. So, this is a little difficult for me to explain, but I will do my best. Many, many, many years ago, I worked for a company. I think it was the only company that actually said if I had heard of anything disturbing, we needed to let the company know. My feeling is, how do you know what's real and what isn't? And I think that I kind of touched on this on an earlier podcast. Do you always believe what the caller says? The answer is quite simply no. I don't believe everything the caller says. I will act like I do, but I don't. I unfortunately don't remember all the details about that one call, but somebody called me and said something disturbing, which I honestly don't remember because I tried not to remember these things. And I had to report that person to the company I worked for. I did have a call once where someone talked about having a sex with a dead body. I did not believe for 1 minute that that was happening. And actually, I know it sounds wrong, but I thought it was amusing that they thought I would believe it. And I think at that point, they dropped me. Some people are just absurd, and I believe there are people who want to push boundaries and see what my reaction is and how far I will let them go. It's strange, but it's also human nature, I guess. I think once I reported that person is no longer able to call in to that particular company, and they did some research as to where the caller lived and to see if there was something not right going on over where the caller lived. I think they did try to look for where the caller lives and they try to investigate, but that was not ever relayed back to me. And I never spoke to that person again. So, along the same lines, people do cross the line and say things that are inappropriate or that we're not really allowed to talk about. So, I will mention briefly underage call. I know that's tricky. I will get a caller who will start out with a regular call of whatever kind that is, and they'll talk to me about the call before we get into a role play or into whatever it is they want. And it will sound really innocent. Well, you know what I mean. Not innocent, but it's fine, basically. I'll totally be okay with that and go with the flow when we have this role play or conversation, not knowing where they're going to take it because, like I've said, they're really in charge, not me. I never considered myself to be quick on my feet, but I've learned to roll with it. And there are more times than I'd like to mention where a caller will say something about, now I'm underage, or he will try to trick me into being younger than when I started the call. It's really hard to navigate around that because in my brain, it's all about the money first. And then when that kicks in, it's, well, what's right? What's right is not talking or dealing with anything underage. That's not right. So I will ignore their request or what they're saying and just continue on. There are some callers they'll let you do that. You just ignore it and it'll switch back to what the original call was supposed to be about, or they will continue on saying an age that they want you to be, and I will very gently say, no, that's too young. And sometimes the caller will accept that and go older, and sometimes they hang up. The ones that hang up will definitely not call me back again, regardless of whether they like my voice or not. They know they can't get away with it. Those are the callers I don't care if they don't call me back, and I'm actually relieved that they don't call me back because I don't want to have to go through that again. There are so many fetishes and fantasies out there, I just don't know why that one has to exist. Fortunately enough, I do not get a lot of those calls. Every once in a while, someone will creep in, but I feel fortunate enough that it's pretty rare. So there's another part of me that says, well, if you're in your 50s or 60s or that kind of age. Well, I am younger. I'm 37, and so I am younger. And they'll say, no, I want you to be younger. I don't mind being 18. I don't even mind being 17. But other than that, when they start telling me the single digits, I'm like, no, no, I'm not that young. And sometimes they'll be okay, okay. And sometimes it's click. And like I said, I don't mind if it's click. I recently had a caller that was telling me that he was wearing panties and had a micro penis. He loved that he had a micro penis and was again another caller who wanted me to tell them that they were a little dick loser. It was about 4 inches. So he was telling me about that and he wanted me to call him names, which I did, although I don't like doing that, as you know. I did it anyway, and he starts telling me how he can suck his own dick. Now, I'm female, and so you guys can help me out when I say that if you're that small or telling me that you're that small, how can you possibly suck yourself? I've seen porn where guys are on the floor and their legs are over their head and they can suck themselves, but they're also significantly bigger. Any guys listening to this could answer me this. Can you suck yourself? Have you tried it? The call went on for a very long time, and again, having a small dick, I don't believe that it would shoot so far that it would go into his mouth. Maybe it would. It just felt like he started out the conversation with a small micro penis and then being able to suck himself. It seemed like he grew. I found the whole conversation to be a little confusing, but I went with it and he stayed on the phone for quite a long time. It was just a bit odd, is all. He never said it was larger. It just seemed like for such a small thing, it had a lot of power. And to suck himself? Again, you can write me and tell me about if you've sucked yourself or if a small dick can. I don't even know. You have to be very limber, I think. Another recent thing that happened was a caller called me back that I had not spoken with in over a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Last time we spoke, he had met someone, and I was really happy. I'm sure I've mentioned him in a different podcast. He's the one, if you've ever listened to my previous podcast, who had these incredible fantasies that were incredibly detailed. That was really hard for me to keep track of every single detail. I've always liked talking to him because he was really intelligent, and I find him to be quite honest, a little fascinating. So he called me, and one of the first things out of my mouth was, are you still dating that woman? And he said yes. And I'm really happy for him. I want him to be happy, and I said, does she know about you? And what that means is, does she know about your kinks and your fantasies and your detailed fantasies? And he said, she doesn't know everything. Then he tells me that they're engaged, and I'm even more happy for him. But here's a question I pose to you that I can't stop thinking about, and that is this. If you have fantasies, if you have desires that are really quite strong, can you be happy with your life having those fantasies not fulfilled? So he told her he calls phone sex lines all the time. It doesn't sound like that's going to stop. He buys lingerie. He has these fantasies, and I think those things she is okay with or getting used to. He also has desires of being cuckolded, and again, I'm not sure that he's told her this. People that I talk to about that really do have strong desire and usually are able to fulfill it with their partner. So I don't know if that part of him will be fulfilled. But really, to be truthful, what happens when you live your life and there's a part of you that you don't share with your partner? And if that part of you that you don't share is not fulfilled, can you really be happy? I'm not saying he's right or wrong about telling her or not telling her. I just think that you aren't going to be completely happy if you don't share that part of yourself. Now, I can be naive thinking this way, but I would love to know your thoughts. I'm not sure why I care so much, but there are some people that do touch me, and I just really do hope they're happy, and I wish them the best. So, again, tell me your thoughts and feelings about that. I have a semi regular caller who lives on the East Coast, and he wrote me the other night. He's 71 and lonely. He said, "Hello, mistress. I'm in desperate need to be owned." I said, "Why is that?" And he said, "If I knew, I could tell you. Can you?" And I'm thinking, no, I can't tell you. This is not our thing. What do I do? I'm not a mistress, and you have not done this before. So I respond saying, And he says, I mean, really be mean and strict with me. And I say, the problem is, I'm not mean or strict. That isn't my thing. He says, but I like you so much, though. And I say, I know. I just don't know how to be mean. It's not my nature. And he won't let it go. So he says, I know, but I'm in the mood to be dominated. I say, I can be assertive, but domination is not my thing. It never has been. I'm so sorry. And finally, he says, I guess I'll try to go to bed. A sigh of relief comes over me, and I say to him, I never want to disappoint you or anyone, and I will if that is what you want. I am really sorry. He says, I still like you very much. After maybe 20 minutes, he calls me, and I'm thinking he better not try to get me to do what I don't want to do. So I say hello, and he said, I just needed to hear your voice. He can't help it. He loves me. He wants to come visit me. When can he come visit? I said, I just don't know. I tried to change the subject and I said I was going to be back east, but not where he is. Big mistake. Now he wants me to call him and he wants my number. So he knows it's me calling and he will answer the phone. I said, I'm not comfortable giving you my number yet. So he decided to give me his numbers anyway. What was I thinking? I lost my brain. We only spoke for 10 minutes, but it felt like such a long time. He continuously tells me he loves me. I don't know why, but I do, he says. When it is time to hang up, he said it again, and he said he looked forward to hearing from me. He is one that makes me sad. He's alone and lonely. It takes all kinds, and I need to be careful with his heart. I was recently asked a question over the course of you doing this. What is the number one predominant theme that you have heard and talked about? Well, you may not like this, and the person that asked me didn't like this answer. I don't recall if I've mentioned this in my other podcasts, so if I have, I'm sorry about that. But wait, before I say anything, please know I am not making this up. It is real. If I would have kept a log or record, this would be the one thing that has most ticks next to it. I would check marks. Okay. The number one theme, predominant theme, is men wanting to be with, fantasizing, or having been with, just discussing anything being with men. Let me say that again. Men being with men. I know that is surprising. People think it's threesomes. Nope, that hardly ever comes up. I'm not saying it doesn't, but rarely. Men are interested in being with men, experience being with men. They just don't want to talk about it. It's a secret. And to them, it's a dirty little secret. Now, the men listening to this may say, not me. But really, when you watch porn, are you only looking at the women and not the big cock going in the woman? Does it make you gay? No, to me it makes you curious. Being curious to me doesn't make you gay or bi. It is curiosity. Many of the married men I speak with go to the adult bookstore and suck cocks through a glory hole, or meet up with men. Those men could be bi, and that could take up a whole podcast about that. But at the end of the day, an experience is an experience. The bigger question to me is, why not tell your partner what interests you and excites you, or what do you find to be curious and possibly explore together? I know it sounds naive. I continually sound naive, but wouldn't you want your partner to be their true, authentic self and explore their interests like you may have? So, that is my number one most called about type of call. When you get to a certain age, adulthood, when you are feeling yourself and realizing that you want to experience things in life, sharing with yourself, sharing with your partner or soon to be partner, I find it is extremely important, because when people start to do things behind their partner's back, that's trouble. I can't tell you how many times I hear that their partner wouldn't understand, or they would not want to experience that, or it's weird. Maybe so, but why sneak around and do things behind someone's back? People are going to do what they're going to do. So, men being with men, look, they like a finger up their butt, they like a tongue up their butt. You know, I always say that men should be with men and women should be with women because we know what we want. But that's not the way life is. So, that's my number one call, if you will, the theme, the whole thing. That's what I get the most. Sometimes I start out as a woman on a call and I end up as a man, so it's all over the place. Along the same line, someone told me they were on a dating site talking with a man, and the guy said that he wanted someone who would allow him to lick their ass. The female said no way. My first reaction was good for him for speaking up and saying what he wanted. I find that to be great. Why date? Find that two people like each other, to then tell each other what they truly want, to then find out that they are not compatible or have the person cheat and get what they desire from somewhere else. Be bold, be upfront, stating what it is you really want and not waste anyone's time. That is why I ask so many men if they've told their partner what it is that they really want. Maybe your wife partner will be okay with it and you won't have to cheat or lie. Being vulnerable and honest is so hard, but so what? In the end, it's worth it. I hope more people can do that, both men and women. It's really important to be upfront and honest. And the person might think that you're weird, but again, is weird bad? I don't know. I don't think it is. The question this week is, are you doing dishes or watching TV while you're on a call? I think people watch too many movies. The simple answer is no. But here is the longer answer. I'm typically watching TV or on a personal call while I'm logged in. When I get a call, I pause the show I'm watching, or I hang up on the call I'm on and I take the call. No, I'm not distracted by anything. Of course, I can multitask. I'm female. Haha, I'm just kidding. But I need to focus on the caller. Whether the call is less than a minute or hours, I need to pay attention. I need to follow where they're going. I need to answer their questions. I think I might have mentioned or not, if I've had a long day and I'm super tired, and I probably should not have logged in, I have dozed off on a call, but those are the calls that are boring and I'm like, oh, no. But other than that, I need to be focused and I need to pay attention to the caller. Besides, if I were to do dishes, the caller would hear it, so that isn't good. I want it to be dead silent over here. I've had people ask if I'm alone, and when I say yes, sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I heard something." That could be wishful thinking, but I never say yes because it's true. No one is ever here. So, no, I am not doing dishes or watching TV or crocheting or whatever it is because I need to pay attention. So, thank you for the question. I appreciate that. That's it for now. Thank you for listening to Secrets from a Phone Sex Queen, everything you always wanted to know about phone sex and more. And don't forget, please email me anything at phonesexqueen1. That's the number one at gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram at phonequeen1 and on Facebook at CJCJ. And until next time, stay sexy.